Hey Witchy friends, so thank you for coming back for another video. Today I have a project. Yes, the most amazing #1 Witchy friend husband found this piece of oak that was donated to his work. This is a big piece of oak. I plan on sanding this, stripping it down, and we're going to make a Ouija board. I know. We'll be okay. Take your notions about Ouija boards and throw them out the window. A lot of our thoughts about a lot of things is still brought on by Christian propaganda. So, open minds, open hearts. We are going to continue with this project. Okay, so this thing is giant. So I marked off 3 inches right here that I am going to use for this. Is going to be a hook on the back. This is going to have a hook on the back, and I wanted some way of disguising that because it's going to hang on the wall when I'm not using it. And so I want to have a place for a candle and maybe a place for a, not quite sure yet. There's not enough space to hold a planchette on it, but I'm going to do magnets with that because that'll have to be done on a separate piece of wood. And that is going to go probably on the back somewhere for storage, or maybe I'll put a magnet on the back side of this and just have it right there in the middle under goodbye. We all know that I'm not the best with technology, so sometimes the way I have to do it is the hardest way for some people, like the old saying, you go around your ass to get to your elbow. So I had to do this a kind of extremely difficult way. I knew I took the 3 inches off the top for those purposes I just mentioned, and that left us with this big bottom half, right? And like I said, this is very, very hard wood, and I was thinking about carving it, but then my husband reminded me, this is very hard wood, and it's going to be very hard to carve it. So I got some other plans of how to do that, what I'm going to do. So, but I want to go over my plans and how I came up with this. So I took away the 3 inches from the top, and I left the trim of it untouched. That's not going to be covered by anything. So I took 2 pieces of paper and I drew circles in each corner because I want to do something with the circles. Not 100% yet. And this is going to have some type of filigree all over it, like spirals, maybe ribbon. I'm not quite sure. It just depends on what I'm able to do with the staining technique that I want to do. And then what I basically did was I drew out my lines. The center part is going to be the where the actual Ouija board is going to be. So that will leave us with the internal size. The width of it will be 14.5 inches, and the height will be 9 2/8 inches. I know it's a weird measurement, but this was a normal project that I was working on, and this would be something that I would try to make it a little bit easier with the measurements. But this is something that is already here, and I don't want to mess up because the trim is actually very nicely done. It's squared off. It's just, I don't want to do any damage that I don't have to do to this thing. So basically, the reason why I have this and I cut out this center part, because this is actually going to go in my printer, and I am going to get a Ouija board picture offline, and I'm going to crop it and edit it to make it this size, print it out, and then this is going to go, I'll probably glue it or tape it or something back onto this, and this is what's going to have, well, it'll be like this. This is what's going to have the printed Ouija board on it, and this is simply just so I can trace out the letters so they're neat and it looks more professionally done and less Stefan rushed through it, you know what I mean? So that's the reason why I did this. This is what our Ouija board's going to be printed on. Then I'm going to attach it to this, and then I'm just going to go through and I'm going to probably do clear tape over the whole thing, and then take my X-Acto knife, and wherever the letters are, I'm going to cut around it, and wherever any detail is that I have on the print is going to be cut out. like the letters will be left in, and then when I get done, I'll peel off everything except for where the cutouts of like the letters and the shapes and the numbers and stuff like that is. That way I could stain it all and then take it up, and then it's, even though I'm sanding this, it'll be the same color as this. So that is, oh, sorry. That is my plan, and that's how I plan on doing this. It's going to be a pretty big project. I've never done anything like this before. One thing that people don't know about me, I don't talk about on Witch Talk and stuff like that, because I don't know how people would perceive it. I love making things. I love upcycling things. My papa was a carpenter for his whole life, and he passed some of that knowledge down to me and my cousins and stuff like that. So I have a passion for making things. So I never made a Ouija board before, but I do love making other magical devices that I don't like to talk about on TikTok, because it's like, something like that needs more than a 15-second, 60-second, or 3-minute video, because there's going to be a lot of questions I'm not going to be able to get to in the video, and it's going to cause a lot of confusion, and then without people knowing all the information, there's going to be people stitching and duetting, telling me how I don't know what I'm talking about. So those type of things will be talked about here on my YouTube, because it's a longer process, and I can talk more about it and answer any questions that anyone might have before I get done with the video. You know what I mean? This is going to take many days to do, and this might actually take me a while to complete. I do want to finish it before Halloween, because me and my husband plan on having a seance on Halloween. That's something a lot of people would have a problem with, but it's like, opinions. I would love to know people's input and what they feel about certain situations, but if you're going to just come from a place of like putting people down and just like talking down to them, thinking that your opinion is the only thing that matters or the only correct one, that's where I have an issue. So I love all y'all's opinions. If you're watching this video, you're probably not who I'm talking about. So I want to be able to get candid and talk about things that I love to make. And like I said, this is going to take several days. So today I want to talk about what is a Ouija board, break down some stereotypes, break down some stigmas, and just see where this video takes us. So since we're getting spooky and it's the spooky season, let's light some incense, which I do that regardless of the season. I never was allowed to have incense and stuff like that on our households and stuff like that. My mama didn't like the smoke and stuff like that. But my friend Hannah, best friend Hannah, shout out to her. She is the one that got me really interested in witchcraft and stuff like that. Because she was looking into it when we were teenagers. We didn't sit around talking about it or nothing. Sorry, I am struggling so hard with this incense holder. Yeah, it totally took me like 2 seconds or 10 minutes. But anyway, I was going to light a candle too. So, and I know this is stupid. I'm lighting a grill match with a torch. But my torch is not long enough to get down there. And my, I can't find my matchbox. So we're doing the struggle bus today. Okay, so now that everything's situated, let's talk about Ouija boards. So a Ouija board or a spirit board, it's called different things, is just another form of divination. Originally, I believe it was a kid's board game, but then, you fuck around, find out, make stuff, and you conjure spirits. But I feel like it's one of those things that a lot of people, some people don't fuck with Ouija board because they're scared of them. Some people just don't believe in them. I believe in Ouija boards as any form of divination, just like I believe in chaos magic. I've literally seen people give different handfuls of scraps, like orange pills and stuff like that, different meanings and properties and intentions, and they use that for divination. So very much yes. So if you do not want to fuck with a Ouija board after learning some more, or you just don't really believe in them, that's up to you. You're personally responsible for your opinions, and there's nothing wrong with that. So I want to talk about some misconceptions like that. So I just looked up a list of misconceptions of Ouija boards. So we're just going to go through it together. Right off the bat, it says one of the misconceptions is that a Ouija board is dangerous. I don't believe in that. A Ouija board very much so can be dangerous. After all, you are opening a portal. Now, I believe that you're opening a portal when you do tarot cards, oracle cards, any form of divination or reaching for power outside of your own body. You're opening up a portal. So regardless if you open the portal in a Ouija board or you open up in a tarot deck, you're still opening up a portal. Do I believe... I kind of have a weird theory. I think that there's different levels of divination. I feel like the first thing someone might go to, if it's not that serious at first, is maybe a pendulum reading. And then they may go to maybe runes or maybe then a tarot reading. But then sometimes, they will go maybe to a spirit board or a Ouija board, as you may call it. And with any form of divination, there's always risk, especially if you're trying to communicate with something that you don't know what is out there. That can be with any forms of divination. But do I think that a Ouija board has the potential of being a little bit more haphazard and slightly a little bit more riskier if you do not know what you're doing or if you come at it at a negative standpoint? I believe if you go into something with a negative condensation about it, you're automatically going to have potentially a bad experience with it. So I say go into anything with an open mind. If you can't go into an open mind, there's no really need to have that experience, I personally believe, because there's certain things that I won't fuck with, because it's like, I do believe in fuck around to find out, but there's certain things it's like, I have too much of a negative like a negative thought process about this already. So maybe at a later date, once I can deconstruct to figure out why I have these feelings about why this is automatically bad. Misconception number 2. You can talk to anything with a Ouija board. While this isn't technically a misconception, it's just because you can doesn't mean you should. One of the I feel like basics of safety with a Ouija board is don't just open a Ouija board and say anything and everything that wants to communicate with us. No, don't do that. That could be very fucking dangerous real motherfucking quick. Real fucking quick. So I would say either know who you want to reach out to, or at least put forth, if you're, I would never say or suggest anyone use a Ouija board who is not knowledgeable about Ouija boards, or how to potentially fix something if something gets loose. So that's what I would say. Just be careful. Make sure you know how to get yourself out of something before you get yourself into something. Also, at least if you're doing it in a group, at least have a group meditation before or a group conversation about what energy you're wanting to call out to. Because if you don't have a specific person or a specific energy that you are trying to call out to, just calling out to anything and everything. There are things that are waiting for people to light that black flame candle. Don't be the virgin on Halloween that lights the black flame candle. Also, another quick note before we move on to the next misconception. When you are talking to anything, I don't care if you think it is your mama, or if you think it's your daddy, or if you think it's your greasy granny. I don't care who you think you're talking to. You need to have multiple ways to prove or to be able to know or sense if it is that person, in fact, that you're talking to. Because there are a lot of things out there that can mask. That will tell you, yeah, I'm your grandma. Yeah, this, and that. Make sure you're asking questions that only that person would know to identify if it is them. Also, do not, at least this is just my rules. Everyone's rules are going to be slightly different. At least for me, do not give your name. Do not say your name. When I've heard of people using like ceremonial names when they're doing divination work and stuff like that, especially if you're not specifically calling out to your gods, your higher self, or if you work with any gods, goddesses, or deities, anything like that. I've heard people using a ceremonial names because you do not want to, at least in my vision, you do not want to give your name out. Because you don't want, also you want to, I try to stay as impersonal as possible. I think that is because it goes back to you don't want to give too much information. I am one of those people that I will tell too much information. I've always been that kid that if I did something wrong, I wouldn't wait for someone to find it out because I'd end up telling on myself. Also, don't treat it like a joke. Do not come in this disrespectfully or turning this into a joke, because this is a good way to fuck around and find out. So please be respectful. Please, when you are talking to any spirits, please do not do what you see these idiots doing on freaking Discovery Channel, provoking spirits just so they can get a reaction out of them, because that's how you really get messed up real fast. I'm not sure if this is a universal rule, but this is just another rule for me. When I get this thing made, I don't know if I actually plan on displaying it without it being covered. Part of me wants to cover it with like a black veil or something, maybe something cute like black lace or something, because we have a lot of lace around our house. We love antique stuff and stuff like that. Or me building some type of case to enclose it, to protect it, and stuff like that. So those are some ideas I'm teetering with, because I don't want it opened at all times. I don't want it to be visible at all times. Especially, there's not anyone that comes into my sacred space, really, besides me, my husband, and our friend Debbie. No one really else comes in here, so I wouldn't necessarily be afraid of someone seeing it, having something to say, because they'd see the whole room and they'd say, oh, there's something to say about that. But I personally would want to keep it covered. I know a lot of people who have the actual like board game one that you can get like a Target, Walmart, stuff like that, and they keep it in the box. I know several people who, even though you say goodbye at the end and you close, however you have your protections, stuff like that, you will find your own ways of figuring out what's best for you. This is just personally what I feel like is best for me. I do not want to keep it open at all times, because I still feel like it is, especially if I am making it myself, especially. I'm putting in my own time, my own energy, my own intentions into it. So I want to make sure that there's nothing attacking that. And then I guess a universal rule to say is that never forget to say goodbye. And like I said, always be respectful. There's a lot of people that, like I said, you see on ghost hunters and stuff like that. I think half of that's crap, half of it's fake. Do I believe in ghosts? Do I believe in the supernatural? 100%. I have personally experienced way too much in my almost 28 years of living to think that something does not exist out there. There are things out there that we don't even know. There's things out there that maybe the government doesn't even know about, or maybe they do and they're just not telling us about it. I personally just cannot stress enough, be respectful, come into it with an open mind, come into it with a game plan. Don't just say, oh, it's Wednesday at 3 a.m. I just want to throw together out a Ouija board. No, please go with a plan. Please come with a potential exit plan. Have an exit plan regardless, because you want to make sure that you are reminding yourself that you need to close this thing off. You need to say goodbye. You need to be able to push these entities and energies or whatever they are, spirits, out. And so just always come at it from a respectful place. A game plan, like I said, is something big that needs to happen. And be prepared just in case if something goes wrong. If something goes wrong. The last misconception that I would like to talk about today is that people have posted questions online and stuff like that, not necessarily just towards me, but towards other practitioners that I've seen on Witch Talk and TikTok and stuff like that, talking about Ouija boards. Talking about having a Ouija board at a cemetery, at a graveyard. I have mixed feelings about that. Would I? Maybe. Would I right now? No. There are a lot of things that automatically you're messing with a Ouija board, you're messing with the supernatural, you're reaching out to outside of your own body for answers or for communication to other things. So obviously you're already reaching out to things. I potentially believe that in a cemetery or graveyard, there's, especially depending on the area, there could be a lot more things lingering of unfinished business, if you believe in that, or just I believe that pain and horrific things that are done on this earth can stain land. And I personally believe that maybe that's not so necessarily a place that I would want to go do divination with a Ouija board, because at the end of the day, you need to make sure, just because you want to have a fun, exciting, witchy experience, please be smart about it. Because I don't want to see another news article of someone, another little white girl messing around with something, and they end up dying. You know what I mean? So just come respectfully, come with an open mind, come with an exit plan, come with a backup plan. Try to never do this alone unless you know exactly what you are doing. I personally do not believe that this is a game. So that's just left up to you. What is your ideas? What are your thoughts on Ouija boards? What are some misconceptions about Ouija boards that you wish I would have covered? What is your favorite form of divination? For me, my favorite form of divination is probably tarot cards. My second one is probably my oracle book back there. It's my favorite thing in my craft besides my tape recorder. That's what I do all my personal divinations on. I love pendulums. I use pendulums in spell work. I use pendulums in a few other things, but I don't go to pendulums for a lot of divination. I believe that pendulums work. I believe that they have a purpose. It's just not my personal favorite way to go about doing divination. So what is your favorite? Those were my favorites. And I promise I will update y'all. I will probably do a couple of more videos about this. Because like I said, this is going to be a process and I want to bring y'all along for the process. Thank you so much for coming to this video. And as always, blessed be.